Hello, and welcome to Edutainment, addressing the stigma of educational games. My name is Garrett Ward, and I am an educational game developer. I hope you all have been enjoying your PAX thus far. There are a lot of cool things to see and do today, so I truly appreciate you being available to come to my talk. My PAX has been fantastic. Having the opportunity to be here, speaking to all of you, checking out all the games and organizations down in the exhibit hall, catching up with some friends and making new ones has made for a truly memorable experience. Equally as memorable as last year's PAX, which was quite enjoyable, yet left me pondering a few notable interactions over the past year that occurred while showing off a demo of my own educational game, or when playing other people's educational games. Namely, my use of the term educational games caused people to quickly become disinterested in my game and anything I had to say about it. Further, game developers who were demoing games that I felt were educational in their designs became discomforted by my use of the term to describe their game. Again, these interactions were few and far between amongst the many positive interactions I had at PAX, but I felt inspired to put this talk together in response to what I believe is a lingering stigma associated with the idea of educational games. My goal is for each and every one of you to leave the talk today with knowledge reinforcing the idea that games are effective educational instruments. I'm sure everyone here can attest to the fact that play is an effective way to develop knowledge, character traits, and skills while simultaneously entertaining oneself. It is such an effective strategy that it can be observed in nature, in wild and domesticated non-human animals of all ages. Of course, we humans play with our young to develop their cognitive abilities, transmit knowledge, and build their character. This is as equally important for the parents as they learn and grow during the process of shared play. Historically, play is something humans of all ages have engaged in across all cultures and continue to participate in to entertain ourselves and gain additional benefits. At this point, I would like to define a few terms, starting with education, which I define as the transmission or development of knowledge, skill, or character traits by way of a learning process. A process such as play, which I define as engaging with an activity that exists within an agreed-upon imaginary space, involves decision-making, provides motivation to perform, and creates enjoyment. If we were to take that concept of play and combine it with a formal structure, we would have gameplay. Gameplay can be defined as interacting with a game's challenges, rules, plot, theme, environment, and the resulting emergence of behavior and emotion during play. With those three terms clearly defined, I am comfortable defining a game as an interactive experience that is designed for a purpose, usually to entertain, create enjoyment, allow for the development of skills, or to educate. Therefore, it is my perspective that all games are inherently educational instruments, and I can prove it to you. I would like everyone to take a moment to think back on the first time they ever played a game by themselves or with others. Perhaps an experience you may have had here at the convention. What was the first thing you had to do when playing a new game? You had to learn to play. You must be taught the rules, form, and structure of the game before you can engage in the play that the game designers intended to facilitate with their designs. Hence, all games are inherently educational. Now, to shift my focus to games designed with education specifically in mind, I will look at examples from the 1990s, a decade I consider to have been a golden age of educational game development. Some of you may remember this game, or this game, or this game. These are some of my favorites, but they are by no means representative of a comprehensive list. I could just as easily reference the Jumpstart series of games that prepared kids for the next grade they would be attending, or Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego, or The Oregon Trail. These are all titles that were successful and perhaps are remembered fondly by many of you in the audience. I believe that this is because educational games were and are awesome. They provide engaging, memorable experiences while simultaneously developing useful knowledge, character traits, and skills. So why is it that these games ceased to be developed and the term educational games became synonymous with negative connotations? In short, the 2000s brought a change in the market conditions that led to blockbuster hits like Halo, Grand Theft Auto, and World of Warcraft dominating the industry. This shifted investment away from educational games and the companies that made them, to allow resources to be focused on developing games that investors felt could generate greater revenue. What educational games were developed during this time were often equated with shovelware, low-quality games developed quickly to flood the market. This trend continued until about 2011 when what I view to be the most commercially successful educational game ever made was released. That educational game was Minecraft. I'm sure most of you here would agree with my labeling of Minecraft as an educational game, but if any of you are skeptical, allow me to explain my reasoning. Critical thinking is the analysis of facts, evidence, and observations to make conclusions or informed choices. That is also how I would define Minecraft's gameplay. The player must accumulate knowledge over time spent in the game and make informed choices based on that knowledge to successfully achieve intended outcomes. Social interactions can occur either in a multiplayer setting or through a player's interactions with a world created by another user or users. These interactions can lead to the development of the player's character as they overcome challenges, create collaborative worlds, or just play around with others. Creative problem solving is what allows the player to engage with these activities in Minecraft. The game's core gameplay loop requires creative solutions to overcome the various problems or challenges the player encounters. In doing so, the player is developing a crucial skill set that will serve them throughout their life. Self-expression in Minecraft is the utilization of one's skills, knowledge, and character to create something truly extraordinary. It can lead to the creation of incredible structures, worlds, friendships, and memories. It is Minecraft at its finest. My perspective on Minecraft is likely a popular one, as evidenced by the release of Minecraft Education in 2018. As the name implies, it is an education-focused version of Minecraft developed to be utilized in the classroom setting. As of 2025, Minecraft's total revenue exceeds $3 billion. Note that, aside from 2014, every single year saw annual revenue generation exceeding $200 million. The year with the highest revenue measurement, $500 million, is 2018, the same year Minecraft Education was released. That $3 billion does not even account for the over $950 million that the Minecraft movie earned in theaters internationally. I believe this is indicative of the far-reaching impact Minecraft has had on millions, if not billions, of people worldwide. Now, I would be remiss not to mention that educational games were being designed in some form or another in the 2000s and the 2010s. These games are referred to as serious or applied games, as they were and still are developed for the purposes of research, training, therapy, and raising awareness. Of course, with time, the design conventions of these games began to find their way into the entertainment game space, leading to the rising popularity of simulation games. Here we have Flight Simulator, the longest-running simulator franchise that is often considered to be a serious game as well as entertaining. At the other end of the continuum, we have Power Wash Simulator, a playful and zen-like experience that has the player learning the proper techniques for power washing a variety of objects, structures, and surfaces. This is Car Mechanic Simulator, which provides the player the opportunity to learn to service and repair a variety of vehicles cleanly, safely, and with guidance. In a similar vein, Electrician Simulator has the player performing electrical repairs and installations without the danger or the cost of failure. Each of these games is representative of a booming genre, one that I believe is shaping the industry today due to the potential of such games to facilitate the development of useful real-world skills while providing a gameplay experience that is engaging and enjoyable. We are also beginning to see the return of classic educational games. Earlier, I mentioned the Oregon Trail and Carmen Sandiego, both of which received new releases in 2023 and 2025 respectively. I believe this to be a sign of shifting market trends veering back toward the development of educational games. Furthermore, I believe the release of these games indicates that publishers are aware that investing in the development of educational games is a lucrative strategy once again. This is something the board game industry has been aware of for some time, as a bit of an educational game renaissance has been in progress in this space for years. Wild Gardens is one example of such games, teaching the player about forageable plants, how to cook with them, and the enjoyment of exploring nature alone or with friends. Earth is a game that teaches the player about the complexity of Earth's systems as they develop a self-sustaining biome comprised of diverse flora and fauna. Wingspan is a game that places the player in the shoes of a bird enthusiast, and has them learning about the numerous bird species that occupy a particular region. Again, these are just a select few games from a large body of games designed to educate while entertaining. What about games that are designed specifically to facilitate educational lessons in a classroom setting? Well, for that, I would like to introduce to you John Hunter, a teacher, educational consultant, and creator of the World Peace game. I believe this game to be the epitome of what educational games can be, and it is best described on the game's website, worldpeacegame.org. Quote, "The World Peace game is a hands-on political simulation that gives players the opportunity to explore the connectedness of the global community through the lens of economic, social, and environmental crises and the imminent threat of war. The goal of the game is to extricate each country from dangerous circumstances and achieve global prosperity with the least amount of military intervention. As nation teams, students will gain greater understanding of the critical impact of information and how it is used." End quote. The story of this game and its impact is amazing. It is what inspired me to continually strive to develop high-quality educational games. This is Profit Playground, a game my team and I designed to facilitate the uptake of financial literacy by overlaying educational concepts onto familiar gameplay loops. With the intended audience being ages 2 to 6, this was done through abstract representations of financial concepts applied to tactile, nature-themed play. In this activity, the player collects individual units, blueberries in this case, that grow from buds to ripe berries in real time and can be collected in groupings of 5. The player can then deposit the blueberries into each of the 4 buckets, which can hold a maximum of 25 berries. Once each bucket is full, they can then be added to a larger barrel, which holds a count of 100 berries. The player then receives a coin as a reward upon completion of this task. This minigame serves to communicate the abstract concept of American currency: 1 cent, 5 cents, 25 cents, 100 cents, or a penny, nickel, quarter, and a dollar. The appearance of the coin as a reward has the dual purpose of creating an association of coinage with those numerical values. This is Financial Frontier, a game designed for ages 7 and up and the sequel to Profit Playground. In this game, we build upon the educational material introduced in Profit Playground by thoroughly teaching advanced terminology and concepts and having the player put them into practice. As an example, here we have the maturation of an investment in the form of a productive garden. We also have the inclusion of some nature-based knowledge, as I like to call it, in the form of a concept known as companion planting. Put simply, some plants do well when planted near one another, providing benefits that can positively affect their growth. This gives us the opportunity to create a buff mechanic, represented by the green plus signs that result in a companion bonus, as seen in the apple tree status window. That companion bonus is added to bonuses received from 3 other statuses that the player can track and influence through gameplay decisions, all of which amount to a collective yield bonus that increases the harvest of a particular crop, in this case, apples. The player can then choose to sell the crops as raw materials or cook them and sell the crafted consumable item to different vendors. For each vendor will pay prices based on their preferences of which items they wish to buy. The player can then take the money they earned and deposit it into a banking system. They then can take that money and invest in upgrades to their businesses, property, or their ability to navigate the world. So what we have here is a familiar gameplay loop with an overlay of educational material in all aspects of its design. This kind of design thinking is proliferating in the games industry and is supported by organizations such as Games for Change, which has empowered game creators, students, educators, and social innovators to drive real-world impact through games and immersive media. Or Game to Grow, a non-profit organization dedicated to the use of games for therapeutic and educational purposes, as well as community growth. Or the Family Gaming Database, a massive games database that exists to help parents and guardians navigate the world of gaming and provides articles and resources pertaining to the innumerable benefits of games. In closing, here are a few key takeaways I would like for you all to leave this talk with. All games are educational instruments. You have never played a game, nor will you ever play a game, that is not educational in some way. Vast possibilities exist for educational games both in terms of creative design and financial success. An educational games renaissance is at hand. A shift toward the development of educational games appears to be in full swing, and I expect it to continue for many years to come. And here are the sources for my talk if you would like to research them further. With that, thank you all for your time today.